Hey everybody, it's Todd Bishop from GeekWire here with a quick look at the new Kindle Voyage e-reader. This is the new high-end e-reader from Amazon that starts at $199, which is a pretty high price point for a dedicated e-reader. You can get some tablets for that much. So why would you want this thing? Well, Amazon is hoping that people will really get into the new features, and a couple of those we'll get into here in just a moment. But first off, you can sort of see the evolution. I've actually got an original Kindle here right in my hands. This was circa 2007. And one interesting thing that Amazon did on this device back in the day was it had the physical hardware buttons there on the right and the left side. You can see that. Now on the most recent touchscreen Kindles, that feature has gone away, but Amazon with the Voyage is actually bringing them back. Bringing those buttons back. And it's interesting, they're even using the same placement, but a very different approach. These are not actual movable hardware buttons, but they're sensors in the bezel here of the Kindle Voyage. And you basically just press and you get a little bit of force feedback, and then you can go back like this, and you go into a story here, like say the New York Times, and press forward, page forward, and it goes forward, and you can go back just like this. Super fast, and really just a way for Amazon to make it so you barely have to flinch and this thing actually moves. So just one more way that the company is trying to really immerse readers and Kindle users in the experience rather than requiring them to move their hands. Now you can still do the regular navigation that touchscreen Kindle users are familiar with. You can click on books like that. And everything works the same. They've just added this. Now, another major difference from the previous generation Kindle Paperwhites, you can see one of them here. You'll notice that if you look really close, this Paperwhite has a ridge in between the bezel and the screen. There's actually the bezel itself is elevated. It might be a little hard to see on the video, but the reason they did that was that the touch worked using infrared. There's actually a field of infrared going across the screen, and the way that the Kindle knows when you've touched it is that you've disrupted that field. Now, this device, the new one, the Kindle Voyage, actually takes a different approach. It's a capacitive touchscreen, very much like you'll find in smartphones and tablets, and you can see there's actually no ridge there. And one thing that does is it just makes the device much thinner, and it makes it more like a whole device across the top. And in my testing, I've actually found that to be really nice. This device sells for $199, starts at $199 for the Wi-Fi enabled ad-supported version, and it's definitely worth taking a look at. This is essentially Amazon's attempt to prove that there is a high end of the e-reader market. Another interesting feature here that is not in the earlier versions of the Paperwhite is the auto brightness feature. And so what happens is, before you could adjust this manually, but now the Kindle knows when you've gone, for example, into a dark room, and if you select this option, it automatically changes it to a low setting. Of course, the whole approach here is that this is a front-lit screen. Just like the previous Paperwhites, the light actually goes up and down, and so in that way it's not actually shining in your eyes when you're reading a book. Instead, it's allowing you to read in the dark, and it actually is a really nice device in that way. Those are two of the key features, the page forward and the page back in the bezel, and then also the automatic brightness feature. There's another interesting little twist on this, and that is here in the settings. Let's go back to the home page. And then here in the settings, you can actually do this. This is called the night light. So this works in conjunction with the auto brightness and the auto dimmer. If you turn it on, then it actually adjusts the light gradually. For example, when you go into a dark room, it adjusts it very gradually to the point where it's in time with your eyes as they adjust to the light. So some interesting tweaks. I'd say this is really a great example of where Amazon should be innovating, making advances to the key user interface here that make things simpler. Whereas with things like the Fire Phone, Amazon really went pretty far afield and invested in technology for technology's sake. This device is actually very strong, and if you can afford the $199, it's worth considering, although personally I'm going to be keeping my existing first generation Paperwhite because it's just a very solid device. But you can see this is a really good entry and a nice upgrade to the overall Kindle line on the high end. Go to geekwire.com for my full review. I'm Todd Bishop from GeekWire.